grabbed my wrist and basically shook his finger in my face like I was a dog. I think that there's a certain taboo about the subject, but I do think, especially with our generation, I do think that there is more of awareness, and I think there is a more clear understanding about what is and what is not violence, whether it's sexual violence, emotional abuse, or physical abuse. And, I think the figures, I think those aren't honestly true, because I think far more people are abused than we like to think about, especially when it comes to men being abused in their relationships and LGBT relationships as well. When I think about what's happened to me, I think of more, it was a very abusive friendship that often was romantic in nature, but he was always in a relationship with someone else. So whenever he was angry with that person, he would take it out on me. And it did happen when we were younger. However, I think there's only so much youth can excuse. And my realization was when he got in my face at the school cafeteria. And he got this close to my face, and I kept telling him to get away from me, and he didn't. So I pushed his face back. It was with his hand actually. He grabbed my wrist and basically shook his finger in my face like I was a dog, telling me, how dare you do that to me, just things like that. And the next day I woke up and I had bruises all over my wrist. When, either men in my life or authority figures, when they start to get very angry with me, I break down completely. I start crying, and yes, Kelsey is a crybaby, we all know this, but it takes it to a certain other level where I realize, I was conditioned to be like that. Or it's when a really good male guy friend of mine, or even someone like an ex or a boyfriend of mine, when they grab my wrists. And that's still something where, if someone's trying to catch my hand while I'm walking away, I shut down. I go into the corner, I have my panic attack, and that is my really, that's something no one can do for me. No one can touch my wrists. And even now I'm nursing it, because it brings back a lot of feelings of helplessness and just fear that, there's something worse that can happen. So when we were in choir, and there was this thing called scoop dunk that guys would do with girls' breasts. And he got up and did it in front of the whole class with me. And I was like, why did you do that? He's like, well, because I want everyone to know that you're mine. No one else can have you. So even though he was, we weren't dating, but he was still, that was his way of, laying a claim on me in front of all of my friends, in front of all the guys that I thought were cute in my choir and things like that. So that's where I realized, that's not okay. And that was kind of my breaking point there, so, yeah. I think the most important thing that I have learned is seeing the root of a problem. So when you are in a situation that you think could lead to more severe abuse, you need to look for the warning signs. So whether or not that is controlling who you can and cannot hang out with within your friend groups, whether it is controlling what you can and cannot wear, whether it is saying it's gaslighting you, whether it is that idea of, well, you know what, don't care about me. You go do whatever you want, I don't care. Those are all precursors to far more severe abuse. And if you don't nip those in the bud, frankly, people can feel, I don't want to say encouraged, but they can test the boundaries a bit more and start getting where it's like, I don't like you wearing that. You need to go change. Or, you know what, it's cutting people out of your lives and things like that, where you are your own person. You have your own autonomy. And yes, there's always give and take within relationships, but you should never give up your friends, who you are as an individual and as a person, just to appease your significant other. And if there's someone who's asking you to do that, then, there are far better people out there. There are 8 billion people, I don't frankly remember. Ooh, this chair squeaks. But there are always going to be people out there who do not force you to give up who you are and give up your passions. And that's another really big thing. When they start, saying, maybe, I don't really like when you do that. I don't really like that you love music so much. I don't really like that you're so passionate about X, Y, and Z, so you start giving it up a bit more. And that was what I realized. And I started losing my fire in a couple of relationships where I just realized, I'm not who I'm supposed to be. And those weren't all physically abusive, but you need to realize the different levels of abuse. And they're all just frankly as severe, because emotional abuse, that can surface for many, many, many years to come. And I just think that people need to be aware about when they see red flags and not just seeing them with a pair of rose-colored glasses. They just look like pink flags. That's the big thing that I've learned, is that you can always have a sunny disposition, but a sunny disposition can only get you so far. And sadly, there are people who are going to take advantage of people who only see the good in other people. And that's something that I've frankly had to learn and grow from, so.